Here's a story, here's a sound, with host Steve Roby to move it along. So forget about your worries, it's songs and stories.
All right. The crowd goes wild. It must be because I have a special studio guest. Well, not directly in the studio, but a very special friend and musician here on the Big Island. Please welcome Bub Pratt.
Thanks, Steve, man. I really appreciate you having me on the show, man.
Yeah. The Songs and Stories podcast, for our listeners, let me back up a little bit. Originally, the three or four of us got down to your studio in Kukuau and came up with the concept of doing a TV show called Songs and Stories. But we had some technical issues, and the project kind of lay dormant for a couple of years, and I've kind of revived it in this podcast form.
That's great, man. I'm so glad you're doing that, and I love that we have that little jingle ready for you, ready to go on that. I'm so glad you're using that.
Tell me who's on that. I forget. It's you. It's Drew Daniels, right?
Yeah, Guy, Grizzly, Grace Scanlon, my buddy Nico on the lap steel, and I think Julian played bass on it. You know, we had
quite
fun
a few
with
people,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, we had fun with it.
I dusted it off, and so it has a new home now.
Fun little brainstorm session. I remember writing that thing. That was fun.
Anyway, Bub, we're here to talk about your new compilation album. But before we dive into that, let's, for the listeners who don't know you, everybody knows you on the Big Island, but since the podcast goes all the way around the world, tell us about your music career and how you got to the Big Island, and then we'll talk about Kukuau Studio.
Born in Seattle, went to school for music outside of Seattle, studied for a long time, pretty much became a full-time musician almost 20 years ago now. Put together, including this compilation, it's going to be 6-7 records, and each one gets a little better than the last one. And kind of a jazz musician by trade, but I also like to do the singer-songwriter thing. Mm-hmm. I teach music, teach guitar mostly. Yeah. And then it'll be 9 years in August that I decided to make the move over to the Big Island. You know, it was like 2010, 2011, and I'm like selling my plasma to pay rent. All my students dried up, all my gigs dried up, and it was really bad. So I was like, let's go for a little change of pace here. And I've been out to the Big Island a couple times before and decided to make the move.
Yeah, and we're glad you did. Well, let's talk about the history of Kukuau Studio in downtown Hilo.
We just celebrated our 5th anniversary.
Yay.
And it started out as me needing a place to teach. I was teaching at the Hilo guitars and ukuleles, and my current landlord would go down there all the time, talk story, hang out, play the guitars and stuff, and I needed a new spot to teach, and so he showed me this space, and it was really gross. And so I started teaching, brought my students over here, and the space really started telling me, okay, now you're here, glad you made it. Now it's time to get to work, Bub.
Yeah. Well, it's a beautiful place. I mean, upstairs seating, and then the beautiful murals you have on it. It's just a really friendly atmosphere when you walk in there.
Thanks. Yeah, we just put a new one up. It was a nice little COVIDia art project, and that one's called Village Vortex. And the last one was Tree Sisters. And the Tree Sisters are going to be featured actually on the cover of the Kukuau Compilation album.
Great. Has the pandemic affected the Kukuau Studios lineup? I know you guys are really busy doing poetry slams and family night and jazz jams. How have things changed?
Turnout is cut in half. I went from 25 students to 5 pretty rapidly, like in the course of a week or two. But I'm back up to like 10.
All right.
So that's nice. And of course we were just closed for a couple of months, and then we've just slowly kind of been soft reopening as we've been going along here, and we're kind of pretty much fully operational right now. This poetry slam coming up will be our first one since March.
You also offer a recording studio now, right?
And so we've been doing a lot more of that. on that side. We're working on a singer-songwriters project right now. Her name's Megan Funk. She's super radical. We just finished up Mr. Peanut Butter's live record. Those guys are out of Waimea.
Yeah, they're pretty cool.
Or Waimea or Waikoloa or something like that. And then we also did a live record for the Kunzwa Marimba Ensemble. It turned out great. And we've been trying to get this Kukuau compilation rolling out of here.
Mm-hmm. Let's jump into that now. Give me the overview of the compilation album and how it came together.
There's 9 tracks, 8 artists. We've been recording these artists for the past 3 years. I started recording. Priscilla, Colleen and Drew were some of the really early recordings on that record. It was a year ago, last February. We expanded into this other room that's connected by an adjoining door, and that Uncle David had a ukulele luthier shop in. And we expanded it, and I had this friend. His name's Khalid. Yeah, I kind of knew he was an engineer, and I knew he had some cred and has done some stuff. And so I asked him if he wanted to partner up with me on this before I committed to renting out this extra space. And he was into it and stoked. And we happened to have 20 big old garbage bags full of sound dampening foam had just been donated over the years, and that's actually where I'm sitting right now.
Oh, cool!
Nice, quiet little spot. It's a sweet little spot. No cokies and things like that, which is a really hard one for people trying to record their own music around here. Cokies are really tough sound to get out.
For those not listening on the Big Island and out there in the world, we have these little tiny, about the size of your thumbnail, frogs that have about a 90 decibel sound they emit.
It's really kooky. It's really loud, and yeah.
So that's what a cokie is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's jump into the compilation there. You sent me over a bunch of tracks, and it was really hard to pick some of my favorites. And I'm like you, I keep going back and forth.
Yeah. Again, that was one of our first things we did, and she comes in with her. Worked it up, and it's just a beautiful message, a really unique performance. We worked it up with a bunch of other voices, and Priscilla Mola is a singer-songwriter. I think she's from Philadelphia originally, but she lives on the Big Island currently. And she's just a beautiful sister who runs around performing and working her tail off, doing everything she can to get her music out.
Well, let's give Indigo a listen to. You're here on Songs and Stories, and my special guest is Bub Pratt. And I'm back on the phone with Bub Pratt, and you're listening to Songs and Stories, a podcast about Big Island musicians and the backstories behind some of the songs. We're going through a compilation called the Kukuau Compilation that, is it currently out, or how can folks get it?
We just now, yesterday, got our official digital release date, which is going to be August 3rd. And we're going to press records, and those are going to be coming in on August 22nd, or, the end of August. And those records will be, we're only doing 300 pressings. Ooh. And those records will also come with download cards.
Oh, nice. Wow. Yeah. Did it make it to one LP, or is it 2 LPs?
Oh, 1 LP.
Oh, right.
Yeah, it's turned out to be, I just did this today. What was the time? The whole thing is turned out to be, perfect to fit in a nice LP.
Because I remember when I used to buy vinyl, they could only fit maybe 20 minutes, if you're lucky, on a side of vinyl.
Yeah. So we're looking at about 17, 18 minutes a side.
Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the next track I got queued up, Bub, is called Heaven.
That's one of my songs, singles that I remember releasing with this album, and it's ode to my daughters who live on the mainland. I wrote it a little over a year ago and have been refining it. I had some great feedback at the Songwriters Festival that was happening in Kona every year. I hope they do that again this year. Hope they're not canceling that this year, because it's a really valuable resource. But and so the song developed a lot through that, and through my friends that we talk about songwriting, and buddies of ours like Higgs and stuff. Right. Man, those guys are just such a great, tight knit songwriting community here on the island, and the Songwriters Festival really helps culminate that nicely.
Yeah, I just saw on Facebook recently that they decided to cancel that for this year.
That's really unfortunate.
Yeah, it is. That brought in folks from all around the world, producers, people involved with television, and other sources of media that get a chance to hear this raw talent that we have here on the island, and get them involved in all kinds of projects. Yeah. Well, let's jump back into your new compilation album. It's called Kukuau Compilation, right?
Yes.
Okay, we're going to hear one of your songs, Heaven, here on Songs and Stories.
Holding your face up to the light, taken back by the sight of courage and beauty that shines like angels' wings. You rise up above it all, never fearing the fall of everything crashing around your halo. Who's to say you need a place to land on solid ground? Make your way to the space up above the clouds. It's your heaven, praying for the day when I'm in your heavenly gazing up at the clear night sky, reflecting in your eyes the glittery glow of 1,000 halos. Rise above the rubble and the ashes of this world. Forget about your troubles and remember what you were. It's your heaven, everything you touch. It's your heaven. You can never love too much. It's your heaven, praying for the day I'm in your heavenly gaze. It's your heavenly grace, it's your heavenly smile, your heavenly ways, you're a heavenly child. The heaven within brings brings your heavenly out. It's a heavenly spin with a heavenly shout. Heavenly hands drawn heavenly skies. Heavenly thoughts behind heavenly eyes. On a heavenly path with a heavenly goal. And heaven comes back for your heavenly soul. It's your everything you touch. It's your you can never love too much. Your praying for the day I'm in your heavenly.
What's up, everybody? This is Alan from El Sancho. You're listening to the only podcast in the world dedicated to the Big Island of Hawaii's music scene. It's Songs and Stories with Steve Roby. You can check out music from El Sancho on Spotify, iTunes, Bandcamp, YouTube, or wherever you stream your music online. And follow us on Facebook and Instagram too. Just search for El Sancho Hawaii. See you in the pit.
And we're back with our very special guest today, Bub Pratt from Kukuau Studio. Thanks for hanging in there, Bub.
Yeah, happy to be, man. Thanks for having me.
We're going to play another song off the compilation here, which is coming out very shortly, probably the time that you hear this podcast. It'll be out, and you can go download it or buy one of the vinyl copies. How can folks find the compilation?
It's going to be on Spotify, YouTube, iTunes. We're going through TuneCore with distribution, and so there's at least 20 or so online distribution companies. Yeah, platforms that they work with. So we're going to go ahead and work with them and release it that way.
Okay. I'll put some links in the show description, so if folks want to click on those, they can go right and hear probably samples of the rest of the album too. So up next is Illuminate. Have I got the title right there?
Yeah, Illuminate. Colleen Helen Yost, she wrote that song and came in and recorded it. I think that's the only tune we recorded. Anyway, yeah, so I always love that tune of hers. Offered to record it for her, and she graciously came in and did it. A friend of mine came in and did whistle tracks. He's an awesome whistler, and it's just a really cute, happy, upbeat tune. And I think it kind of describes the whole project. You know, illuminating your creative state is what this whole project is about. And yeah, it's super cute. It's hard not to smile when you hear this tune.
Okay, I'm smiling right now, and I haven't even played the song yet. Here's Illuminate on Songs and Stories.
Life can have a way of catching us off guard every day. Too many blessings, I start to question, am I just lucky or are they destined? You appear to me, breaking through mold with levity, leaving me with such clarity, abruptly and unexpectedly. You illuminate my creative state when you facilitate a new appreciation, and you have me taken back with the realization that it doesn't really cost a dime to impact another life just a little time. You're my affirmation that all of my fears are imagination. With each and every conversation, I tend to forget all complications. Then you blow my mind when you remember the lyrics that I write. Cleverly quote me to remind me everything's gonna be just fine. You illuminate words so true. That gratitude is knowing you and your like-minded point of view. Your attitude helps me break you illuminate my creative state when you facilitate a new appreciation, and you have me taken back with the realization that it doesn't really cost a dime to impact another life just a little time.
Okay, we're on our final segment here on Songs and Stories with Bub Pratt. Bub, what future projects are you working on this year? Do you got anything else lined up?
Yes, actually, I have a record written. Hopefully, I can get it done in a year or two. And then we've, like I said before, we're working with a couple of singer-songwriters. Also making moves for next year's Kukuau Compilation. We want to make this an annual event. Nice. I really like it when record labels make compilation albums of their artists. I've always loved those. I remember getting the Sub Pop ones when I was a kid and stuff like that.
Little samples of things you probably wouldn't even pick up on your own, but if you could get a little taste of it. Yeah, that's
artists
nice.
you wouldn't normally hear. And so,
right.
I think it's a win-win for everybody. Win-win for the artists, win-win for us. The studio, this is kind of our hard release as a record label. We're kind of doing the record label thing in a different way. You know, we're not going to be supporting artists on tours and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But, we are going to be supporting them through recording and doing things like that, and having this compilation as a way to help bring awareness to different radical artists who are either come through the Big Island or have called it their home.
I would like to thank you, sir, for being on the show today and coming up with the theme show intro song. I was thinking about maybe I need an outro song, so maybe I'll throw it out there. We'll have a little contest, a outro theme song to Songs and Stories out there for all the talented musicians on there. Again, mahalo, Bub, for all you do and being on the Songs and Stories podcast.
Likewise, Steve, man. Really love you, man. Love your show, and keep doing what you do. And anytime you want to collaborate on anything, you know where to find me.
Mahalo and aloha.
Take care.
Songs and stories